Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Be Iconic with Dr. Udine Harry. I'm your host, Lisa Franklin, and thank you so much for joining us today. Dr. Udine is no stranger to most of you. She's a board certified holistic and emergency healthcare practitioner. She's an expert and spent the last 15 to 20 years of her career focusing on and specializing on preventive care. Author of 3 books, most recently the award-winning Be Iconic. Dr. Harry has been delivering a healthy dose of truth serum across the country and specifically speaking to women about living their best at any age. Welcome, Dr. Harry. It's good to be with you today.
This is going to be so fun today. I'm excited.
All right, so joining Dr. Harry today is a very special guest. We have Kathleen O'Brien. Kathleen is better known as Chef Lean, is a
Hi.
New York City-based personal chef, a graduate of both UC Berkeley and the Le Cordon Bleu. Chef Lean is a Chopped champion, New York Times featured celebrity chef, and star personality with an innate ability to create flavor where none existed before. Hi, Chef Lean. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Chefleen. I am so excited that you took time out of your busy schedule to help us learn just a little bit more.
Hi. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. So we're so excited. This is the best part of my Thursday, I have to say. And so I want to just dive right in. But before we do, I want to remind everyone that's joining us today to make sure that they post comments in the comment section. We'll be getting to that a little bit later, but every person that posts a comment gets entered to win a special gift from Beauty Counter. So, Dr. Harry, you speak a lot about women feeling empowered to chart their course, listen to their inner voice, and feel compelled to kind of walk in their own light. According to Kauffman Foundation, though, 3/4 of all new entrepreneurs in the last few years between ages 35 and 64, with most being 45 and older, um, we've seen such a resurgence, most of them were men. Now, we've seen people like Kerry Washington land her lead role at 35, or Vera Wang start her label at 40, or even Toni Morrison, her first novel didn't get published until she was 40
Lisa,
years
I
old.
can't hear
The
you.
reality, the reality is that most people referenced, again, were only males. What do you think about that statistic?
Well, first of all, I want to thank those ladies, Vera Wang and Kerry Washington, for showing us that as women, we become so much more as we get older. But what I want to do, Lisa, is I want to empower women. I want them to step into that power that comes with aging. And I think part of that statistics, what it reflects is that many women can experience imposter syndrome. And what I mean by that is that we can have accomplished so much, but at the same time, we start feeling not enough. And so ultimately, what happens is that we then don't go after what it is that we truly, truly want. The other thing that can happen with that is that as we become 35 and later, we start experiencing some physical changes that can actually that we need to adjust for and to compensate for. So we might start experiencing changes in our neurotransmitter and our hormonal levels, and that may start leading to weight distribution issues, some weight gain issues. And so what may happen is that all of that combined with us not really feeling that we deserve to be where we are can really create a problem for us. So what I love and admire women who can do that. So Chef Lean, I'm so excited that you're here. I know that you have had a really, really interesting journey. Could you share a little bit about your journey to becoming a chef with us?
Yeah, for sure. So being a chef is not something that your parents really want you to be when you're growing up, because it can be considered a pretty unstable career. It's so much work, so physically taxing, and really not a lot of reward reaped in it, like monetarily necessarily. And, you know, every parent wants their kid to be like financially stable. So I actually went to UC Berkeley and got a degree in mass communications. I thought I wanted to be a newscaster. But right after I graduated around the 09 recession, and it was like impossible to find a job. And like we're experiencing right now, like when there is a time period where it's hard to figure things out, you tend to go more inner, like what actually truly makes me happy. If these things that I thought I wanted aren't working out, like, do I actually really want them? And so that was when I decided to go to culinary school. And straight from culinary school, I went to a diploma program, 7 months, 5 days, 5 hours a day in the kitchen. It was amazing. I loved it. It was like playing. And right out of there, I actually got a job at Will and Jada Smith's house as a kitchen assistant. And then it wasn't until that moment that everyone was like, oh, we knew you were going to be a chef all along. And so I worked there 2.5 years. And ever since then, I've just been like hustling and looking for opportunities, because I didn't even take a restaurant path, which is a little more stable. Like being in people's houses and freelancing is just a matter of like me networking and me going out and me putting myself out there. So it's a constant struggle. And what you were saying earlier about not feeling good enough a lot of the times, like I deal with that a lot, because it's just, you always have to reinforce in your own mind, because there's no one telling me, there's no like level of achievement that I can get where it's like, oh, okay, now you're a real chef.
Yeah. Well, I love what you just said about reinforcing for yourself, because I think that's really, really important, is knowing trusting yourself enough to go after what it is that you want. And sometimes, you stated it beautifully, there you have so many challenges and so many people who might even really love you and want the best for you, but really can't envision the vision that you have. And so it becomes really challenging for them. So I'm so excited that you're with us. I'm so excited that you're able to share your journey with so many other women who may be even thinking of becoming a chef or doing something entirely different, and just wanting someone to say, you know what, I've experienced the same thing you have. I've done it. You can do it too.
Yeah, for sure. That's like, I mean, I never set out to be like this inspirational person. I really was just doing putting my head down and doing what just needed to be done. But looking back at my journey, I'm like, oh my gosh, I did so much, and I did it without people really, I had support, obviously. My family didn't just leave me in the dust, but
right.
It wasn't anyone like, oh yes, we're so excited for you to do this. And I think it is really important to trust your gut, and just, if you are willing to put your head down and just go, just do it then, if it's that important to you.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that statement.
Chefleen, what gave you the courage to kind of take an additional step and move forward with even entering into the chop competition?
Wait, I totally cannot hear Lisa. Can you relate?
Yeah, absolutely. What Lisa was asking, what gave you the courage to decide to enter into that chop competition? Because I've seen that show a lot of time, and the competition looks really, really fierce. I mean, I get nervous just looking at them.
Oh my gosh. So Chopped has been on since I was in high school. So before I even was on the path to become a chef. And so when I got approached with the opportunity to be on it the first time, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. I was so terrified. And, but they when you're scared of something, it definitely means you should do it, especially if you're doing something that you love. And so I had just stopped working on a cruise ship. It was just I feel like, especially when you're on the path of doing what you should be doing, things just fall into line. And like I said, I was terrified to do it the first time, but I did it. I won, and it was amazing. The feeling was that was my certified, okay, I'm a real chef now. I can compete with these restaurant chefs, these big time chefs, even though there's no reason for me to feel like I wasn't a chef. I literally make make all of my monetary living off of being a chef. But for some reason, just the confidence wasn't there until Chopped. And then even going on the second time, I was just on a couple weeks ago on Chopped Champions. And when they approached me for that one, I was even more afraid because I was like, I already won. Why would I go back? That's stupid. Yeah, so I went back on and I didn't win this time, but I'm glad, like, it still gave me that little oomph, like I can compete with these top level chefs.
I love that story, and I'll tell you why, because you said a couple of things there that's so important. You talked about feeling the fear and doing it anyway, because oftentimes that discomfort that you're feeling, that fear that you're feeling, is actually is guiding you towards the thing that you should be doing. And the other thing you talked about was very interesting. You had been so accomplished already as a chef. You were earning a living as a chef, yet you felt, you're almost describing an imposter syndrome. You felt that you still didn't have what it took, and you felt like you couldn't call yourself a chef, even though you were a chef. And this is interesting because there's some studies out there that show that men, let's say there's a job up and the job requires 5 qualifications. Men who have 2 out of 3 of those qualifications will go after that job. Women, on the other hand, what happens, we can have 5 qualifications and then some, and we still hesitate. So I just love that you felt that fear, you felt that nervousness, and you went for it anyway. And going back the second time, and you're like, I didn't win, but it was such an experience, because it's really, winning is how you define winning, right? So what you got from that experience was winning. So thank you for inspiring us.
Of course.
Thank you. So, Dr. Harry, what do you believe, because you talk a lot about what we put in our bodies, what do you believe is one of the most important things that is missing from women, specifically in their diets, that allows them to have that additional energy to feel like they can take those additional steps, especially after 35?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because again, and I'm a science geek, I know, and I always talk about studies, but what it really points out to us is several things. There's one particular, very small study, but it's still, what it showed was that women who were older, getting older, 35 and above, and we know we start experiencing some perimenopausal, menopausal changes, and some of that may include weight gain and increasing risk of like chronic illnesses, and what helps to offset that. And they found 2 things to be the most significant: getting at least 5 servings of vegetables daily, and getting 10,000 steps a day. So the 5 servings of vegetable is so important, because those vegetables, what they do is provide antioxidants and the micronutrients that the brain and the heart needs for fuel, that we need for clarity of thinking, and all of those things. And it also helps us to maintain just a healthier weight. And it's not about being skinny or not skinny. It's really about feeling the best that you can, strong when you're standing there, and empowered and clear thinking. And so basically what they showed, that for all of that, 2 things were the most responsible for that.
That makes sense. So, Chefleen, you've worked all over the globe under pressure with varying dietary restrictions, palates, and you've had to kind of figure it out as you went along. What is one of your favorite?
One of my favorite. What? Sorry, you cut out.
So what Lisa was asking is like, what is one of your favorite vegetables that you like to prepare when you're out and about and just preparing these amazing gourmet dishes? What are some of the vegetables that you like to work with?
So some of my favorite vegetables are Brussels sprouts, just because I love the hardiness of them when you roast them. I also, one of my favorite go-tos is broccoli. Just simply steaming it very quickly and then keeping a bunch in the fridge is very easy to snack on. But my all-time like go-to favorite vegetable would have to be spinach, because it's just so versatile and you can eat it basically any time of day. You can put it in a smoothie, you can saute it, you can stuff it in chicken. Like there's so many things you can eat it raw in a salad. Like there's just so many things you can do with spinach, and it doesn't go bad that quickly either, which is awesome.
I love spinach as well. And I think it's so great because we know that raw spinach, we know that a serving of vegetables is like 2 cups of that, but it sounds like a lot, but it's not a lot. So what we're going to do is just ask Chefleen if she can show us some really interesting and delicious ways that we can use spinach so we can get those 5 servings of vegetables that we need.
Yeah, sure. I'm very excited to show you. So spinach is great because, like I said, you can eat it raw in a smoothie. You can eat it sauteed simply, and it's super, super fast to eat. So there's absolutely no excuse not to be eating spinach. What I'm going to show you now is one of my favorite ways to eat spinach for breakfast, besides like sauteing it with eggs. And it's actually a smoothie, or actually breakfast or an afternoon snack. It's actually a smoothie that tastes like mint chip ice cream. So like if you just need like a little sweet pick-me-up, or you want to start your day off with something sweet, it's a great go-to thing. And I also find like a lot of times when people make smoothies, they just pack it full of sugar, which is doing absolutely nothing for your body. So it's really great to, if you can, to always add in a handful of spinach. So I have in my little NutriBullet thing some frozen bananas. This will add to the consistency of our smoothie. And then let's put in the star of our show, which is the spinach. And raw spinach is really high in folate and vitamin C. And the cool thing about spinach too, and most vegetables, depending on if you're eating them raw or eating them cooked, they have different properties to them, like different health properties. So raw spinach and it's a good amount, you see, like a whole handful. Gonna pack that in there. And then to my spinach and frozen banana, I'm going to add some Cacao Nibs, it's basically like a healthy chocolate chip. It's chocolate chip with no sugar, so very dark chocolate. Or the cacao bead that's just blended very small. About a tablespoon of those. And then I also like to superpower my smoothies with some sort of source of additional protein. So in this case, I'm going to use hemp seed, which has really high omega-9s, and it's really high in fiber, which is also really good. So you can see the smoothie's not going to weigh you down. About a tablespoon or so of those as well. And then finally, some almond milk. You could also use coconut milk. Just normally keep almond milk in the fridge. And then now you don't have to add this. I know you just did a show last week about sugar and how it's horrible for you. So you can tell me how you feel about maple syrup, but I like to add just a little bit of maple syrup to sweeten it. But yes, in general, I stay away from sugar. And then just as easy as that, I'm going to just put the lid on it, put it on my NutriBullet. And it's done. And if you guys weren't here, I would drink it straight out of this. So I didn't have to. But because, I have company, I'll put it into the glass and I'll bring it up so you guys can see it. It's like a beautiful color, and it tastes like, it's so good. It tastes like you're eating ice cream, but you're not. You're eating spinach.
Yeah.
That is so fantastic. You notice that Chefleen talked about all of those nutrients, right? She talked about the folic acid. She talked about in her smoothie the high omega-9. She talked about the fiber. She talked about the protein. So you're getting a really nutrient-dense smoothie that, quite frankly, I wish I had some right now, and I wish I was literally in her kitchen.
I know I feel a little rude, like making food and people can't taste it,
but what she's doing is she's inspiring me to go right now and make my own smoothie. And really, what you've noticed, the amount of spinach that she put into that smoothie easily is a serving of a vegetable for the day. and no complaints. And honestly, you can get your entire family to eat more vegetables without even knowing that they're eating more vegetables. And
For sure.
that
If you
is
told
the
if
basic
you
thing.
didn't tell a kid there was vegetables in here, they wouldn't know. I'm telling you, it tastes like ice cream.
Exactly. And so that's basically how you want to incorporate vegetables. She actually talked a lot about a few of my favorite vegetables. She mentioned Brussels sprout, which I loved. I just have a question for you on that. When you're roasting the Brussels sprout, like what is the best way you suggest? Do you suggest like sprinkling like maybe some olive oil over it? How do you suggest best roasting them?
So the main thing, and I'm gonna pull out a tool here, or the thing that is the most important. It's one of these baking sheets, which I notice a lot of people when they're roasting vegetables, they try to do it in a tray with like sides on it, which is absolutely like contrary to what you want to do when you're roasting. Because when you're roasting, you want the heat to really hit the vegetable and
Right.
dry it out, so it gets nice and crispy. And when it has the sides, it's just not going to do that. But generally, and I'm a bit embarrassed by this pan I'm showing you guys, but generally I would place the vegetable on the roasting tray, drizzle with a little bit of olive oil. Honestly, canola oil browns your vegetables better, but olive oil is a lot better for you.
Right.
So I generally just keep olive oil in the house. So olive oil, some salt, some garlic powder, and then just at a really high oven, like 400 to 415 for like 15 to 20 minutes. And the other tip that I would say when you're roasting is don't crowd your pan. Like you don't want anything really touching, because again, that's creating moisture, which is creating steam, which is contrary to what you're trying to achieve.
You see, those are such interesting secrets, because I think that's what, when people say I don't like roasted vegetables, I think some of the issue may be they're not really roasting in a way that gives them the best flavor for the vegetables. And what Chefleen has pointed out is that you can really kind of season it the way you want to, a little bit of garlic here, a little bit of olive oil, and have it taste the way you want it to do and to taste, and it becomes really, really nice and crisp. And you can throw some other vegetables in there if you want to as well. Like I think carrots roast really well.
Carrots are my favorite.
Yeah.
With some ginger powder and cinnamon.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
It's like dessert, right? You're having a little dessert and your vegetable as well. So this is all such great information. It just makes you see that vegetables, like anything else, you can really do with it what you want and make it taste like the way you want. And just know that it's adding something into your diet. Not necessarily, you're not here telling you can't do anything and you can't have anything or any of that, but just saying, you know what, start adding some things in, because these things have actually really can rejuvenate you and give you clear thinking. So if like Chefleen, somebody comes up and say, hey, you are going to be on Chopped, you're ready to go.
Yes.
For sure. I have noticed since we've been like in self-isolation, I mean, we only eat out once a week now. So I'm only cooking for my own food that I'm eating. And I feel like 100 times better than I did when I was eating all kinds of junk all the time. Just because I'm eating regularly, whereas before I would eat like once a day, like in between, I would snack on all the food I was making people. And I'm making sure, because I'm conscious, like if you're at home, you're not just gonna keep eating cheese and potatoes. You're like, I need some romaine lettuce. I need some. And it does really make you feel better, honestly.
And that's some of the things that I hope that we take with us when world opens up eventually, is that we start noticing, like Chefleen has pointed out, that when we're eating at home and we're more conscious about the way we eat, we actually do start feeling better and clearer. And so if we can take some of that with us, we can still visit our favorite restaurants and perhaps kind of watch chefs like Chefleen doing her shows and just kind of learn a little bit more. I usually say, I play a chef in my kitchen. I'm not I'm not a real chef. I play a chef in my kitchen. So the more that I learn about it, I find the more enjoyable it is for me.
Yeah, for sure. The more you know, and the easier techniques and things that you learn, like it becomes fun, because you get to start just playing with flavors and you're not so worried about like, is it going to turn out right?
Exactly.
So we have questions. Chefleen, can you hear me? now?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we have a couple of questions. One person wanted to know, what's the name of the protein powder that you were actually using?
Oh, I didn't use any protein powder, but you could totally add protein powder to this. What I used for protein was hemp seeds.
Okay. So 4 protein with hemp seeds. And then the second was, so is that shake kid friendly? And it sounds like you said that it is. And do you have any other recommendations for creating kid friendly shakes or smoothies?
So kid friendly, I mean, kids their palates tend to go sweeter. So you will want to probably add some sort of sweetener if you're adding like any sort of extra protein to it. I like banana, strawberry, and apple juice, which isn't the healthiest for adult because apple juice is not great. But it's called a pink starburst, and that goes and pineapple. So banana, pineapple, and strawberry for kids. And then if you have any supplements or any like drops or I don't know, whatever. I don't have kids, so I don't know what you give kids, but that is like a great flavor profile for them. This one would be great. The cacao chips might be a little bitter for them, but if you wanted, you could just put in some regular chocolate, like high quality chocolate. I also have a good carrot cake recipe, carrot cake smoothie recipe. So it's carrots, almond milk, banana, and ginger and cinnamon, and it tastes like carrot cake as well.
That's nice. We have someone here that talked about adding apples to their Brussels sprouts when they roast it. What do you guys think about mixing fruits and vegetables when you're preparing it?
I say go for it, but Chefleen, you give us the professional.
I may be a professional, but I am a strong believer in you do what tastes great for you, and that sounds good actually to me.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of sweet and savory, but I'm not ever gonna tell anyone they're doing anything wrong in their own kitchen, because if it makes you happy, it's good for me too, as long as you're in your kitchen cooking.
Yes. I agree with that 100%. And I think it's great. Like roasted apples, it's great. I mean, you sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon on it and do what you do with it, and it gets you and you enjoy it. That's the important thing. I agree with that.
For sure.
So someone asked about, totally off topic as it relates to vegetables and energy, but they asked what's your recommendation on a great set of knives?
Oh yeah. So I get this question like a million times, like all my friends. Yeah. I don't actually recommend getting like a set of knives necessarily if your interest is in cooking. What I recommend is getting like a really good chef knife. And my favorite brand, if you aren't looking to spend a ton of money, is this brand called Victorinox. It's Swiss Army, and they have a knife I can actually show you it because I have 2 of them. They have a knife it's $40, and it's very easy to sharpen. It's pretty lightweight for a German style knife, and it's just a great starter knife. Like all my friends that are like moving, like it's a great housewarming gift. I actually have a giveaway on my Instagram right now for this knife, and it ends tomorrow, so you can go apply for that if you like. But I've been talking about this knife before I even did the giveaway because it's just it's such a great thing. Like it's so easy to sharpen. It's my favorite.
Nice. So last question for both of you, because again, we always go to time. What do you recommend to someone who's single? It's very hard. This person says it's very hard to get yourself even amped up during quarantine to cook for one person. What are some tips that I can ensure that I'll get the right nutrients, but also prepare things that are healthy and allow me to keep kind of a healthy weight?
Well, I would say for that, don't think of it as cooking for one person. Think of it as having great leftovers for during the week where you don't have to cook as often. And so for me, it's like preparing things on the weekend kind of gives me a little bit more free time during the week because I can actually prepare those foods and put them away. So I can spend some time planning, think about, okay, how do I want this meal to look? What kind of vegetable do I want in it? And then prepare it ahead of time so that I have leftovers. Chefleen?
I would say I felt exactly the same way as you when I used to live alone. And before actually self-isolation and quarantine, I cooked almost like I just cooked when I wanted to. I never had to plan. But honestly, no one wants to cook every day. Even me, I'm a chef. I do not want to cook every day. Mainly because I don't want to clean the kitchen every day. So I would say that, yeah, planning ahead, like the doctor said, and using your freezer. Like when we made tacos, and I have taco meat for next Tuesday in the freezer. I have some beef stew in the freezer. And one of my other favorite things, if you live alone and hopefully you like shrimp, are frozen shrimp, because they're so easy to make, and you can make all kinds of different sauces, and you can just defrost the amount that you need every single time. And they're pretty healthy, right?
Yeah, that's right. So I actually said only one more question, but we have so many. I'm just going to pick two of the quick ones. I am so sorry, but I feel bad because this is really, oh gosh, there more coming, but we're going to stop at these two. So number one, is there a good way to roast or cook asparagus? Because people love asparagus. Now you can get it in a frozen bag at like Trader Joe's. There's a number of ways that you can purchase it already cleaned and ready to go. What's a way that you can actually cook it and not overcook it, and then make it so that it's palatable?
I would say for asparagus, the same. I don't know if you're watching earlier. Same way, or just a flat sheet pan. Rub them with some olive oil and whatever seasoning you like, and then put it. For asparagus, it's really important that the oven is super hot, because you want that blast of heat to hit them instead of like a slow cook, which will just end up overcooking them. So I would tend to maybe like a 425 for like 5 to 7 minutes. And I also always say, like, make sure that you are aware when you're cooking, because it's an active thing. You can't just like walk away and forget about it. So make sure you set your timer on that. And then check them. And if they're not to your doneness, just put them in like a couple minutes longer.
I agree with you, Chefleen, about the let's not forget about them and walk away, because I have done that more than one time. So that's important information.
Yeah. All right, last question. I'm looking to get more magnesium in my diet. What are some veggies I can use to get that? So, Dr. Harry, I think that's for you.
No, actually, Chefleen can answer this as well, because as a chef, she's super knowledgeable about foods and the minerals that are contained in foods. So you really want to do a big blend of vegetables, but you want to also include kind of nuts and seeds here as well. Magnesium is a really challenging nutrient to get in the diet, especially as we get older. And it really gets into absorption issues and soil and all of that sort of stuff. But I think if you do a variety of vegetables and not focus so much on one thing to the exclusion of everything else, then you'll be doing a pretty good job. You just want to also make sure that you get the nuts and seeds in there, because one of my favorite things to do, and I don't know about Chefleen, but when I'm talking about roasted squash and so on and so forth, I love to put nuts and seeds on those. So that's a nice way to get that in.
Yeah, I definitely like, that's the thing, like food combining is really important. As you said, like the absorption of minerals depends on different things that you're eating and how they're combining together. And when you talk about roasted squash, I love like putting nuts on squash, because squash tends to get kind of mushy, which is what people don't like about it. And the nuts add the texture. So you're getting the flavor and the texture and all the nutrients. And I would say magnesium, the thing we talked about today is spinach has a ton of magnesium, but you get the magnesium more when spinach is cooked. So that's just one thing you can add into your diet. So dark leafy greens, but cook them.
I love it. Well, these were all great questions. Thank you guys. I'm so sorry that we couldn't get to the rest of them, but if you continue to post, we'll have our experts here come back and we'll answer all of them after the show has wrapped. If you're looking for more information on how you can connect with Chefleen, you can sign up for one of her virtual cooking classes. I know I, for one, I put a reminder to sign up for one of the ones that she has for kids next week, because I'm looking for something to keep them occupied. But even if you want to learn about some starter kitchen essentials, she just talked about that a little bit earlier about the knife. You can visit her site at www.chefleen.com. And you can also follow her on Instagram. We just put the IG up there at Chefleen. We're going to post her site information in the comment section right now, so feel free to click on it. And absolutely enjoyed this. So I hope that we can invite you back at another time to have just even more dialogue. This was great. This was, and as you can see from the questions, everyone enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, Chefleen, for coming on. I enjoyed it and I learned a lot as well.
Awesome. Me too.
Good. So now it's giveaway time. So we're ready to pick a winner. And one lucky winner will receive this special travel essentials gift from Beauty Counter. Beauty Counter is the leader in creating safer beauty and personal care products. And one by one, they're leading the movement to a future where all beauty is clean beauty. Why? It's really that simple. Beauty should be good for you. So we want to thank Beauty Counter for donating this to us. I am looking to see who the winner is. As we told you guys, the winner is picked out of individuals who dropped questions in the comment section. So it looks like, and I am looking for, it is LaShondra Graham.
Yay, congratulations, LaShondra.
Congratulations. If you DM us your information, your email address, we will get this mailed out to you over the weekend. All right. So if you want to connect with Dr. Harry, and Dr. Harry, you always like to leave us with a really good gem before I close out. So I want to ask you if you have anything to add before we sign off.
Well, I think the important thing that we learned here is just listening to Chefleen is that what she did, she followed not so traditional path. And I want to say to you, if you have a dream or a passion, believe in yourself and then go ahead and follow that dream. And most importantly, you want to be physically fit when you get there, because when opportunity meets preparedness, that's when you're really going to do it.
I love it. Thank you, Dr. Harry. If any of you want to connect with Dr. Harry directly regarding more information about how you can work with her one-on-one, have a personal accountability coach, then you can also, we'll put the email and the web address in the comments. I see it coming up now. You can visit her at drudine.com. And actually, Dr. Udine, you still have your packages up, correct, until this weekend, correct?
Correct.
All right. So she's offering viewers for the last week, so we're a week and a half, a special opportunity to work with her one-on-one. She has 3 different packages, I think, but you can find out how you can look through your pantry and kind of figure out what needs to go and what needs to stay. And then also a 3-month, I think you have a 3-month package as well.
Yes.
You can work with her. Awesome. So we've placed both of those addresses in the comments section. We'll also go back and make sure that you guys have both of their IG accounts. But again, thank you so much for taking the time and spending it with us. Chefleen, it has been a pleasure as always. And I want to just say until next week, live, laugh, and be iconic. Thanks, guys, for joining. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.